Okay, this is part 2 of changing your blower motor on the carrier furnace. We've put the motor back, not brand new, the refurbished motor in. We've installed all 4 of the bolts, making sure it's nice and level as best we can with a little bit of play here. We're about to put the squirrel fan on, and we're going to I'm going to put the capacitor back on. So again, this is the capacitor. You always want to change first on these things, because typically this $5 part is the reason for your blower motor not working properly. This capacitor is brand new. The one I replaced was originally from 2007, so well past its life, and that's probably why the other motor eventually failed. But motors get old, people get old, we all get old. So we're attaching the neutral wire back on here and put the capacitor back on, and then we'll attach the 2 brown wires back on. It'd be nice if I had a screwdriver handy. Where did it go? Oh, of course, you're right by my foot. A lot of these things I recommend just putting them on by hand so you don't strip stuff, especially if you don't do this for a living. You're not going to have drill skills. Put these on the outside here. I like to put them like this so that there's no way they will be touching, because like any metal touching metal is a short, and that's bad news. And I probably want this to be completely separate from the other wires here. So we don't want anything going down here. We want everything separate. We don't want things twined together, really taut together, because over time, if you put plastic on plastic, rubbing very tightly, because this thing is vibrating, even though you're bolting it with 2 bolts, you don't want the plastic parts coming off of the wires and then the metal parts touching and creating a short or fire. So we keep all that separate, and then these are the wires that will go back under our motherboard. Alright, so we've put these bolts in, and flip this around. Okay. And hopefully you guys can see this. So this part, let's zoom in here. This part here, you want to be where the bolt is. And you don't want it to make a scraping noise either. So you can put them together like this. And then you want your squirrel cage to move freely, so you don't want to install it with it scraping. You're going to have to lift it up a little bit while you're tightening this bolt by hand. So let's see if I can do this while filming. So you probably want to lift it up like that. Alright, so don't tighten it all the way, but just spin it. Make sure it moves freely. And then when it's moving, make sure it's not like a wobbly pattern. That looks pretty good. And you want to look at the gaps. So let's spin it here. It's not perfect, but like I said, as long as it's not scraping, you should be okay. Don't worry about cleaning these unless it's like completely disgusting, because dude, it's just spinning air. But I mean, this is like old whatever from, condensation from something before. This Squirrel fan is a replacement. A lot of times when the installers come out and replace your furnace, they are salvaging these parts because there's nothing wrong with them. So they sell these separate. So I got the Squirrel fan part for like $50. I think this blower motor was like $125. Totally worth it versus paying an installer $1,000 just for those two parts. And then they probably would have charged like $25 for a $5 capacitor. But again, it's hard to find this stuff, and if you don't know what you're taking apart, you're going to order the wrong crap, and that's not good. Okay, so let's tighten that up. First, let's get it as tight as possible with our hand. Is that high enough? Probably want to get it up a little bit higher. And again, make sure that bolt is to the flat part, because man, if this thing goes spinning freely, you're going to have to redo all of this, and that would absolutely suck. So make sure that bolt's going directly into the spare part from the motor. And then you just want to tighten it. And then twirl it, just make sure. Alright, well, that is spinning. That looks good. And let's put the sucker back in. And again, still got the knee pads on. So we're going to take this whole assembly and we're going to be sliding it back in. And then you'll see my head going in there. So you take it like this. Again, make sure everything's installed correctly. Make sure you've got your capacitor installed with the neutral. Make sure you got your two brown wires in there. Make sure these are loose and these wires are on this side, because that's going to connect to the motherboard. Again, the way you put this together is important. Alright, and this is the tricky part where I have to move my chair that I'm sitting on. And I don't know if I can show you guys. There's like grooves under there. Basically, these flangey things slide in like a shelf. So when you're putting this back, very important to make sure it's in place, because if you put this in wrong, the whole thing will be off, the balance will be off, and you're going to have major issues. Oh, and always have some light so you can see what you're doing. Okay, that flange is in. So, let me show you guys. So this flange part's in here. Now we're going to make sure this side is in. See the little flangey part? You gotta make sure that's in. No, I don't think that's in. Alright, let me put my phone back on. Sorry, it's hard to record and do this at the same time. Oh, I do have it in. Alright, and then you just slide it all the way in. Let me pause it a second. Alright, now I'm going to take these two bolts, these bigger ones here, and reinstall them in the little hole right there. Just make sure that's all lined up. Make sure you have enough light. Alright, so I'm going to do that. Pause it a sec here. So I like to put them in by hand first. Make sure it's all lined up. That way you don't strip it. Here's my screwdriver. Here it is. And this definitely is young man's work. I'm 46 and I'm out of breath. That's probably my fault though for using hand tools. Alright, so now we're going to put our condenser trap back together and our line back in. That's just the way ours is installed here. And we're going to then put the wires to the motherboard. And reattach our hoses. So far this is how everything should look once you put it back. And again, don't take the whole board apart, just use some wires to hold it up while you're working down below. Alright. Alright, let's put this trap back together. Getting the water out. Again, I already cleaned this out, but if you guys never cleaned this before, clean it out. Since you're already in here doing the dirty deed. And like I said, this one you can leave on. So you go in it like this. Try not to cut it as you're putting it back. So it's like that. And then just push up and then this flangey thing will pop. And then it'll be in place. Zoom in what I'm doing here. So we want to put this pipe back on. So our tripod comes in handy because there's no way I'd be holding this and putting it back on at the same time. And you want to make sure that is on tight, because you don't put that on, you're going to have leaky everywhere, water everywhere. Water would get on your capacitor down there, cause mold. It's just bad news. So make sure these are in good shape and that they're clear and that they're on snug with the clips on properly. Okay, and then we'll put this bigger one back on. Like I said, I didn't film it, but mine upstairs, this whole thing was so clogged, I had to literally get a bucket. Now, granted, it was cold at the time, but I could not imagine doing that in the dead of summer with the heat that we get here. It had been like 100 degrees up in the attic, and then I'm dealing with spilling out a bucket of water. I would have been not so nice. Alright, so that's all the way back on. See how that's nice and snug all the way up to the end. And then this guy here, that's just for the pressure. Put that all the way back on. Alright, so those three parts are on. These all look good. Make sure too your tubes are never pinched so that they're loose. You never want to have any kinks, because if this thing can't breathe, you're in trouble. You'll get all kinds of error codes. Alright, so let's zoom out, and now we're going to reconnect our bottom drain part to here that leads to the main drain. And again, I already cleaned this out less than 30 days ago, but you definitely want to just clean that out. Make sure there's no obstructions. And these clips are super tight, so I think I have to put this side in first. Oh yeah, this is the fun part. Alright, I'm going to pause it because this part's boring. Alright, this is the boring part. I couldn't film. I had to put that clip back on there while pressing the black hose back into it and having to press on the clip with the plier. But this side I can show. Let's go down there. Zoom in. And again, some of you guys might think this is totally basic, but dudes, if you don't do this all the time, it's not basic. Alright, so that's on there firmly. And now I just want to take this clip it's so hard to film and do this at the same time. Just put it back. There you go. Alright. So we got our drain back, got our 3 hoses hooked up to the top, and our drain set up there. And now it's time to put the wires back in the motherboard. So, first things we want to do is get the wires back into this area. So I'll do like that. And then we want to put our clip back. This guy here. And then it goes down with a screw. Just make sure you give yourself enough slack. And you have enough slack below. Probably want to install the wires first before doing that, so let's do that. So, first one goes in is white. That goes into this guy here. Next is the black, which goes into this one. Then the blue goes to the black, next to the black one. And then the yellow goes into that one. And then last is the red that goes right next to the yellow one. And if you guys are smart, you took a picture of it before you took it all apart. If not, you can just zoom or rewind on the video. Alright, so now those cables are like that. Now we want to put the clip back on. And that obviously has a little itty bitty screw. Is this the right screw? Looks like it. Yep, that's going in. Alright, so just to show everybody here with light, we got the white go from the blower motor in here, and I put that in like crap, so let's make sure that's clipped all the way in. So you put the white one in, the black one, the blue one, the yellow, then the red. And then we're going to put this back. And then when you're putting it back, just line up your holes. And it always helps to have a little light. You can see see where the frickin' holes are at. So there's that one. So we're going to put that one in. It's all crooked. And then we're going to put this one back. Oh man, that's so hard to see. Alright, they're going to have to push in and pull over. Ugh. Not really. I can show you guys what a pain this is, but just make sure your hole lines up. And then when you put your screw in, do it by hand. Just make sure you're in the right spot. That's good enough. As long as this part here is flat, I'll tighten it with a frickin' screwdriver. Again, most of you installers are probably laughing like, dude, just use your drill. Why are you killing your hands and wrists? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I just like to torture myself. Okay. So now we got this like loose wire here, so we want to put that back so there's not so much slack, because dude, you don't want that wire getting tangled into that part. And then these wires down here, they're pretty taut, but you could just fold them like this. All right. Now we'll put our panel back. And I know I uninstalled it with the drill, but it's just 2 screws. Not gonna kill you to put it in by hand. Alright, that one does whatever. And then, if you ever want to know what the heck model number I'm working on exactly, hello, flashlight. There's the model number. Zoom in here. It is model 58MCA-1551. Oh, I got autofocus on. Turn that off. Okay. So now everything's back together. And click it back on. And let's see if this thing fires on. I can hear the high voltage. And we did take this old one out. I don't know what to do with this old motor. Should I just sell it on eBay for like 20 bucks, saying, hey, if someone wants this to work on or for a school project, maybe 10 bucks. I just hate throwing that away. You know, someone knows how to redo that. So anyways, we turn it back on. We have a red light constant. That's good. And all that simply means is that we have the correct voltage. There's no shorts. And let me go upstairs and make sure the thermostat's on. Oh, and I do the Nest thermostat. It's been great. Highly recommend it. I put that in myself as well. Alright, it's coming on. I had asked the missus to turn it on. So it'll start with the motor here. And then next sequence of events, the blower, or not the blower, The flame should turn on here in a sec once it engages. I think you can replace this whole assembly. These are like 250 bucks. That doesn't look so bad, but mine's fine. But if it ever did fail, I would replace it. Alright, now the flames are coming on. I'll turn off my light so you can see that. And little flamers. Other stuff that's easy to replace is this guy here. It's like a $5 part. Sometimes you can pull that out and take the corrosion off of it and it'll work. This thing here, back there, is some sort of flame sensor or some sort of sensor that's under 20 bucks. Very easy to replace. And there's even one here on the side, another sensor. Probably another $5 part that's easy to replace. The problem is, like, if you don't know what you're replacing or what's wrong, you're replacing parts for no reason. But I have had other houses I've owned where just replacing this $5 part has fixed the problem. Alright, so now we're just waiting for the blower motor to engage, and we're going to listen to it and make sure it fires on and everything works. Okay, I can hear it. And it's blowing. I don't hear any metal. Wow, that sounds really smooth. Probably could have done a better job installing that. Well, let's fix that while we're going. Other than that, it sounds great. I'm happy. And the main reason I'm happy is I was able to do this myself, and save myself at least having to get a brand new furnace. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it was so long, but I mean, that's why these guys that come out to your house, they charge at least an hour to do this. They probably charge like 4 hours to do this too. But again, I don't want to piss anybody off in the industry. If you're not handy, you don't know what you're doing, stay away from it. Just hire an expert. But I figure this is for someone that can't afford to hire an expert, or would just like to know what's involved in it so they can justify paying an expert to do so. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.